Let's starting off with absolute value of 5x plus 9 is equal to 14. Here we're going to have two cases. We have first case removing the absolute value, and the second case putting a negative in for 14. So we're going to subtract 9 from both sides and then divide by 5 to get x equals 1. And then now we're going to subtract 9 again and get negative 23. Divide by 5, we get negative 23 over 5. So the two answers here are 1 and negative 23 over 5. Next one, we have the absolute value of negative 3x minus 4 is equal to 8. So again, we have two cases. We'll rather add 4 to both sides and get x is negative 4 or 4/3. Next one, we have the absolute value of 8x plus 9 is equal to negative 10. Notice the absolute value is always greater than or equal to 0, so it can never be equal to a negative number. Therefore, we say there's no solution. And now we have absolute value of x minus 5 is equal to absolute value of 2x plus 7. The way to handle these problems is to set each one equal to 0. So set x minus 5 and 2x plus 7 equal to 0. We get x is 5 and negative 7/2. So we graph this on the number line. And now we want to test these different regions. So negative 7/2 is about negative 3.5. So we pick a number here that's less than negative 7/2. Let's just say negative 5. So we plug it in here. If I plug in negative 5 in for x, I have negative 5 minus 5. That's negative. So that means I have to do negative quantity x minus 5. And if I plug in negative 5 in for this one, I also get a negative. So I want to put a negative outside. Now I'll distribute the negative. And then we'll add 2x to both sides. Subtract by 7 to get x is negative 12. Now you want to make sure negative 12 is in this interval over here. And in fact it is, because negative 12 is less than negative 7/2. So this is going to be one of the answers. Now we want to pick a number between negative 7/2 and 5. Let's just say 0. So 0 minus 5 is negative, so we put a negative outside. And then 0 makes us positive, so we could just remove the absolute value. Distribute the negative. I'm going to subtract by 5. And then add 2x, or subtract 2x, and get x is negative 2/3. Make sure negative 2/3 is between negative 7/2 and 5. That's true. So we'll keep it. And then finally, we're just going to look at a number bigger than 5. I don't know, let's just say 6. So if I plug in 6 minus 5, that's positive, so we can remove the absolute value. Plug in 6 here, that's also positive. So now I can subtract both sides by x, and then subtract by 7 to get x is negative 12. Notice in this range, x is greater than 5, so it cannot equal negative 12. So the only two answers are negative 12 and negative 2/3. Okay. Last one. So we have the absolute value of 2z minus 9 plus absolute value of z minus 3 is equal to 15. So we want to set both of those equal to 0. So we get z is 9/2 and z is 3. So we'll put that in a number line. So we just need to test a different region. So if we pick a number less than 3, let's say 0, plug it in here. This is negative, so we want to put a negative outside. And it's also negative for the other one, so put a negative there. So we have negative 2z plus 9 minus z plus 3 is equal to 15. So that's negative 3z plus 12 is 15. Negative 3z is 3, which means z is negative 1. And negative 1 is less than 3, so this one works. The next region, we're looking for 3, between 3 and 9 halves, so let's say 4. If I plug in 4 into 2z minus 9, that makes a negative, so we put a negative outside. If I put it inside z minus 3, that's positive, so remove the absolute value. We have negative 2z plus 9 plus z minus 3 is 15. Negative 2z plus z is negative z. 9 minus 3 is 12, or 6. That's equal to 15, which means negative z is equal to 9. So z is negative 9. Notice we're between 3 and 9 halves, so negative 9 doesn't work. Okay, and then finally we want to pick a number bigger than 9 halves, let's say 5. Plug it into both of these, we get a positive number, so we just remove the absolute value. So we have 2z plus z is 3z. Negative 9 minus 3 is negative 12. So we can add both sides by 12 and then divide by 3 to get z is equal to 9. And looking up here, 9 is part of the range, or the interval, that's greater than 9 halves. So we'll keep it, and we'll say the only two answers are negative 1 and 9.